To survive, humanity must make peace with nature. That was the United Nations chief calling for urgent action and financing at this year's UN Biodiversity Conference held in the Colombian city of Cali.
We must transform our economic models, shifting our production and consumption to nature-positive practices. Renewable energy, sustainable supply chains, and zero-waste policies are not optional. They must become the default option for both governments and businesses.
The UN Secretary General spoke at the 16th meeting of the Conference of the Parties, also known as COP16. The summit is a place where world leaders, environmental activists, and researchers are working together to address biodiversity loss and the restoration of ecosystems. The last summit, COP15, was held in Canada 2 years ago. World leaders signed a pact called the Kunming-Montreal Agreement to set 23 action targets to protect and restore biodiversity. This year, as China passed on the rotating presidency to Colombia, the summit's goal was to accelerate plans of action to meet those goals. One of those ways is by encouraging countries to present their national biodiversity strategies and action plans. At the start of the conference, only 33 out of the 196 countries submitted their updated plans.
But they also become more complex to prepare comparing to the previous versions. Because now there are clear targets in the framework to which the NBSAPs have to respond to. What you have to understand is that the NBSAPs, as well as the equivalents on the Paris Agreement, the NDCs, they were in the past kind of building upon each other. You can't really build much upon the previous ones because you didn't have the targets, right? So it takes more time.
If turnout at the event was any indicator, commitment to build action was strong. According to organizers, more than 23,000 delegates came to Cali, a first for these biodiversity events. 6 presidents and 115 ministers were in attendance for high-level meetings held during the second week of the event. The summit has been dubbed the People's COP. Not only was it a first for the so-called Green Zone, where citizens were encouraged to learn about biodiversity conservation at more than 1,000 cultural events, but participation by indigenous groups and local communities was also high at many of the side events. But indigenous groups and local communities continue to ask for a bigger seat at the table. There was a silent protest in the official Blue Zone, where negotiations were held in the final days. Indigenous groups asked to have a permanent representative body and a work plan under the Convention on Biological Diversity.
Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework has a lot of reference and knowledge, a lot of references on indigenous peoples. Are you not happy with that? That's the question that we receive, right? And we have been telling that having recognition on paper is not enough. We need to put that recognition into actions, right? And one of the immediate actions that parties should do or can do or must do at these COPs is really the establishment of the permanent subsidiary body.
Experts like Dr. Susan Lieberman explain that while dialogues in Cali end on November 1st, this only marks the beginning of a new chapter in the fight to stop nature loss and restore the world's biodiversity.
But it's not just you have a meeting and then go home, don't talk to each other, and we'll see you in 2 years. They're intersessional scientific meetings, and we as a science organization, we attend those intersessional science meetings, provide scientific input, and we work with our government partners on the ground. We work in about 60 countries, whether Colombia, Mongolia, or everything in China, and everywhere in between. When we go home from here, we take the decisions and work with our government partners to benefit nature.
Colombia will continue to lead efforts for sustainable biodiversity beyond the summit until 2026, when it will pass the torch to Armenia, the host of the next United Nations Biodiversity Conference, COP17. Michelle Begue, CGTN, Cali.